reordering may be easy, but it's still not integrated fully where you just like, I need to order, toilet paper. And people need to get used to it, right? So it's going to take a few years before that actually is very, very just easy to do. And I think that's where the power user between, people getting used to having voice devices and being out there.
This is the E-Commerce Braintrust, a podcast about building momentum online for established consumer brands. Join our hosts and their expert guests for high-level conversations about e-commerce strategies, trends, and innovations. Access our Braintrust and boost your brand's e-commerce potential.
Hello and welcome back to the E-Commerce Braintrust podcast. I'm your host, Kiri Masters, and I'm pleased to be joined by a guest today, Bart Mraz from Sumo Heavy. Welcome to the show, Bart.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So Bart is the co-founder and CEO of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting and strategy firm. He is a serial entrepreneur who has over a decade of business management and technology experience. Bart was a founding partner of multiple consulting companies and is a thought leader who's been published in top e-commerce publications, including Internet Retailer and Ad Exchanger. And you're based in Brooklyn, right?
Actually, no, we're based in Philadelphia.
Oh, I got that completely wrong. I saw Brooklyn somewhere and my mind just latched onto that.
We do. Yeah. So we actually have one person still in Brooklyn. We started a company in Philly, moved to New York, ended up in Brooklyn at some point, and then we moved back to Philly. So it's definitely a spread out company.
You didn't get into the same situation as Amazon where you got promised all these tax credits and then bailed after a while?
No, this is all personal. We all decided that we want to be back in Philly and this is home. So most of the company is actually back in Philly.
Gotcha. Well, I am really glad to have you on the show today to talk about a topic that is really interesting to me and still sort of at the cutting edge of commerce, and that is voice. And you actually at Sumo Heavy put together some really interesting research, consumer research about shopping behavior and voice activated assistants like Alexa. We're just talking before the show about once I saw that news story about the couple who were speaking at home about something really mundane, like reinstalling some wooden flooring or something like that. And a snippet of their conversation got shared out to one of their contacts. And so after that, I was just personally not so interested with having Alexa listening into everything going on in my home. And so the research that your firm put together was pretty interesting because you found that the majority of respondents are using voice-activated assistants pretty regularly.
Yeah, including me. I have like 3 of them at home. I use them all the time for everything. Turn the lights on, TV, just ever to lock the door, start the car. I find them very useful for me. But respondents are using them. When it comes to commerce, they're still not there. But I think people are getting more, especially something like Alexa's or the whole Amazon ecosystem, because, especially after when they go through the Prime Day, because they're always on sale, it's easy to get them. People are giving them out all the time. And there's just so many versions of them that it just fits. It fits, how people work, and voice is going to be big. How big? Who knows? When it's going to get big? Also, who knows? But it's coming.
And just for a bit of context, with the study that you did, these were all consumers that you surveyed earlier this year. Is that right?
Yeah. Earlier this year, we just kind of surveyed a whole bunch of consumers. I believe it's a little over 1,000. Just kind of survey, put it out there and see what people are looking at and how they're using their devices. And
so you found while a lot of people are using voice-activated assistants, 46% had never used it before as well. But so there seems to be like a group of super users and then a whole bunch of people who are not using it. And it's just, it is changing over time, but there seems to be like super users like yourself and laggards like me.
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, there's definitely a difference. I happen to use it because we have them, but also like this is the industry we work in, right? For commerce things, we're starting to play with the technology and the voice and coming around. I mean, Alexa obviously is like probably one of the biggest. If you look at it, Google is there because with the phones and activation. And then Siri, who lags a lot, except when you're in a car, which works really great. I don't know why it works great in a car, but it does. So I think there's the difference, but people are going to get more and more of them because these things are built into more things. I happened to be at a BJ wholesale club store yesterday, and there was a coffee pot that you can control with Wi-Fi, but big letters controlled by Alexa and Google. So that's coming. You know, there's a good thing of waking up in the morning, Alexa, make coffee, right? And it just starts brewing coffee.
That does sound tempting, actually. So let's go back to the whole privacy thing, because that really is why I don't currently use it. And I feel a little bit sheepish because I am in this industry, but I'm still not prepared for other people to be listening into my conversations at home. So what do you think it's going to take for privacy fears to be addressed by consumers? Because there's been a couple of reports, and Amazon has also confirmed that people do listen in on those conversations. And it's for very specific use cases like, oh, Alexa couldn't really understand what was going on, have a human being listen in and check. And there's a whole team of people at Amazon listening into those conversations, which makes a lot of consumers and the general public feel a little bit uncomfortable. So do you think that like people are just going to get over it and it's going to be kind of like, well, everyone's got a smartphone and a lot of people suspect that they're being listened to via their smartphone, but we put up with it because it's just such an indispensable tool that we carry around with us all day and no one's really prepared to give up their smartphone. Do you think that voice is going to get to that state and people will be just prepared to give up their privacy in some way?
Sure answer is yes, because it's convenient. People will give up their privacy over convenience. And you know, privacy, and it's at the end of the day, it's pretty much dead. You would have to really be off the grid completely to even be, I mean, yes, these headlines are huge and Facebook obviously is the big culprit, but, you know, privacy is just, you know, your data is just there and everywhere you go, any interaction you have is just tracked. It's just there. So that stuff is, it's dying. So voice is the next frontier, right? But sure, the idea that people are listening to it, people are listening, like you said, to certain, you know, couldn't understand it. It's just getting better and better. The better it gets over the years, the less people will have to listen and kind of look at those things. And once again, it's going to be convenience. People will give up privacy for convenience.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the convenience aspect of it. Besides turning your coffee pot on, what are you using it for at home? And then what did you also find consumers are using it for from your research?
I personally use it for just about everything, like our lights hooked up to it, our TV's hooked up to it, alarms. You know, we actually have a few places where we have video cameras so you can watch a video camera. We actually like to call sort of our parents on them too, because it's just easy. It just calls them up like that. You can actually hook up. We just got a brand new car. Our car's not hooked up because we live in an apartment, but you can actually hook it up to start it, you know, automatically, or, you know, do all the routine stuff as a smart home does. You can hook that up. So I think people are using more and more in those situations with the sort of automating their home. Eventually, you know, the buying side of it is interesting. It's not there, like we said in the beginning before we started recording, about reordering things. And Amazon has those buttons that you can kind of order stuff or go order me, you know, whatever, and it puts in your cart and then you can shop from your phone. I think it's going to become more and more prevalent in those things. Also, I think it's going to get more into sort of travel type things where you can say, you know, book me a Hilton hotel at this time, you know, wherever you're going. And I think that's going to hit a lot harder with advertising and really personal brand type things. And that's not going to be like a book me a hotel, book me a specific hotel.
Gotcha. Now the holiday selling season is officially here and it's time to ramp up sales. But how are you going to fund that extra marketing spend, that extra inventory, hiring extra help? One way to do that and access easy capital is through Payoneer Capital Advance. From a company I have used personally and have trusted with my international payments for the last 4 years. Payoneer's Capital Advance product is the ideal cash flow management solution for e-commerce merchants on Amazon and Walmart. What they do is extend a credit offer to you based on your store's recent sales, which you pay back gradually over time until the offer is fully settled. There's no credit checks, no collateral, and they're offering a really good rate as well. Go to paynr.co/Braintrust to learn more. So let's talk about shopping, because this is what we're interested in e-commerce. One of the things your report found is that most consumers have yet to try voice shopping. Just under 1 in 5 consumers have actually shopped using a voice assistant. 42% of frequent voice assistant users have shopped via the medium. So this kind of goes back to the power user paradigm of if you're using it all the time, you probably have tried it out, but only 1 in 5 people actually have tried to make a purchase. Why do you think that is?
Mm-hmm. I think, and this is maybe sound a little weird, but I think it's still the same, sort of on the same level as, would you rather text on your phone or talk to your phone to text? We're still not with a full like voice shopping type things. And I think people are still now used to shopping on their phone or online. I mean, that took forever, right? Plus, I don't think the shopping experience on voice is just there yet. You still have to go to your phone and buy, right? Reordering may be easy, but it's still not integrated fully where you just like, I need to order, toilet paper. And people need to get used to it, right? So it's going to take a few years before that actually is very, very just easy to do. And I think that's where the power user between, people getting used to having voice devices and being out there. I think that's the thing. I mean, the other thing is in the beginning, your friends coming over trying to be funny and ordering stupid things, that barrier to buying is a good thing for now.
Yeah. Well, there's just stories of people's kids buying thousands of dollars of stuff on Amazon, and there needs to be some checks and balances in place there. Okay. What I've heard a frequent comment is that in its current state, at least, voice shopping is really suited to simple shopping tasks like repurchasing, like I'm running low on Tide, Alexa reorder Tide, and it will know what size you got, what fragrance. And so it's a simple way to repurchase, like a low consideration order. How do you see that playing out in the future with increasingly higher consideration purchases? Do you see that people are going to initiate a product search on Alexa and finish it on their mobile device? Or do you see like the end-to-end customer journey eventually happening on voice as well?
So the first version is already happening because you can actually do that now where you end your purchase on the mobile. I think it's going to be end to end, but I think it's not going to be, one-time purchases. It's going to be either reordering, like you said, or it's going to be like bulk type things like you open your fridge, especially on the Alexa side of it, where they're connected to, Amazon Fresh and Whole Foods, where you can go open your fridge, go, Alexa, I need to buy this, and as a grocery item, and it already packs it for you and it's ready to go, right? So I think those kind of things, that the mundane type things. And then, the fun one is we actually have one in the bathroom. It'd be fun to just be able, I'm out of toilet paper, just order it, right? So, I mean, that's the truth. So I think those kind of things is going to be a lot more than I'm looking for a specific, very specific item that you want to buy, But the mundane type of things, I mean, that's just, it saves time. It's there. Like people will spend more money on it. And that's where it's targeted, right? So Amazon can give these devices for free and they will make their money on just shopping it.
Speaking of how Amazon's going to make money from Alexa, there was, for a long time, Amazon denied that they were ever going to run advertising on the Echo devices and on Alexa. No, we're not going to do it. Just last week, actually, there was a document surfaced from an ad agency saying, like, calling for beta users of advertising on Alexa. So I really doubted the whole we're never going to run ads on Alexa line, but it appears like they are going to start doing that now. And it was based on what we saw, it was an impression-based ad type. So did you also kind of see that coming a mile off?
Yep. It's what we talked about earlier, because you're not going to reserve a hotel room, right? You're going to reserve a Hilton. And that's where the advertising will happen. It's not going to be, there's not going to be an ad like a jingle, but it's going to be very specific branded type things where they're like, or you're going to say, I want to reserve a hotel room. And it's like, would you like to reserve a Hilton? So it's going to be those things. So branding and advertising is going to mix into voice.
Yeah, it's going to be like Amazon sponsored product placements, Amazon sponsored brands. Yeah, just like a paid search.
I mean, they have tons of Amazon. I mean, Amazon owns a whole bunch of brands, right? Yep.
Yeah, definitely interesting. And to your point, like they're practically giving these devices away on Prime Day, like below cost, it seems. So the idea is just a real saturation play. Let's get these devices into every home ahead of Google Home and whoever's coming after Google as well.
Yep. I mean, that's the point, right? Because they own the largest retail shop. So they need to sell this stuff. So, the same thing that they used to have phones and tablets. They used to give those things away. It's all that.
Good stuff. Well, the folks listening into this are probably wondering, when do I stand up in front of my executive committee and pitch the voice thing? Because right now it seems like a bit of a moonshot. When should we start thinking about voice as part of our e-commerce strategy? What's your answer to that question? Is it too early? Is it too nascent? Or what should brands be thinking about right now?
So one part, yeah, it's a little early. But on the second part, because it's early, if you're there and you can play with it, you have the resources to do it, even on the beta type of things, I think you can discover a lot. What I would say, it's if there's time to play with it and there's resources to do it, I would start looking into it, because if you're ahead of the game, it's a good channel that's going to come up. And it depends on the brand, obviously, and what they're doing. But I think it's a good timing to do it, because the voice is being talked about. A lot more devices are out there. Obviously, it's the same thing with, you have Google, you have, Siri, you got Alexa from Amazon. Across the board, especially if you're selling on Amazon, I think there's a way to start, exploring those things and making channels and figuring out where the commerce channel come from. It is a little early because people are not really shopping there, but also it's a good PR play. It's a lot of those. I think that's my opinion, is it might be a good time to just start playing with it.
That's a good point. I think, like you said, if you understand how it works, if you're playing with it at home and you can sort of see how people could be using it in theory, then you can start to figure out how we might change some of the search terms that we're using in our product content or in the back-end keywords. We looked into this at Bobsled about a year or a year and a half ago. What's the minimum level of effort that brands should be going to with voice on Amazon? It's really, sounds so basic, but it's really about keyword optimization and filling out all of the fields in the back end. Like, are these boots for women or for men? Are they knee high or ankle? Because that's how people are searching for things on Amazon. It's, I need, product specification, color, fragrance, whatever it is. And they're using those words to help Alexa find the product. And so at a minimum level, you need to be describing your product accurately and in a way that people would search for it using a voice command.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same thing like what people are typing, right? It might be a little more conversational when you do that. It's still rudimentary, right? So it's not just there, but it's going to get there. And I think if you have a head start of trying these things, you'll have a better way of, looking at it. It's the same thing like, back in the day, but it's not really that long ago when Google Ads came out, right? It was rudimentary, started playing with it. And then people who were there first actually had a good chance of understanding where it's going and how it's working. So it's the same thing.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about the research and where you think this is all going and what stage we're at here. Tell us a little bit about what the work you do at Sumo Heavy looks like.
It's Sumo Heavy. So we're a consulting strategy and delivery company. We help clients in their internal teams, in their e-commerce teams, be more efficient and better. And that brings, a lot more profit. So we will strategize with clients to look at the process, look at the technology stack, and actually work with clients overall So we started as a development shop, became a lot more consultants. We kind of work with clients long term and kind of trying to make them better.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Bart. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much.